Hello, my name's Reverend Dr. Mae Elise Cannon. I'm the Executive Director of Churches for Middle East Peace. Some of you have been watching my daily update since the beginning of the war. Today is day 4. October 10th. I would encourage you, please. We got some criticism because someone read our second statement and said we didn't condemn Hamas, which we absolutely did and do. We've had multiple statements and we will have more, I would presume. And so we're using our collective voice. If you're interested in hearing what we have to say, go to our statements page. We are having weekly briefings. If you have questions about what's happening, we'll be meeting on Thursday mornings. And so we're inviting people to join us. You can go to our website and find out when those are. This week we had our first prayer gathering. We're calling on people not only to lament and grieve the horrific actions of this weekend and the ongoing actions. There are still more than 100 people being held hostage by Hamas. We're calling for their release. We pray alongside of their families that they would be unharmed. And that they would be released. Now, one of our great concerns is all of the conversation coming out of the Israeli government and Netanyahu about the response to Hamas is going to not only be disproportionate, but that it will reverberate for generations. And that will have a devastating effect on the civilian populations in Gaza. And ultimately, we would argue that that is not in the best interest of the security and the needs of Israel as well. And so our goals at Churches for Middle East Peace right now is certainly to condemn the violence. And we do. We condemn Hamas's actions. They are horrific. And there's no excuse. There's no justification. We're condemning the violence of the bombing of the civilian populations in Gaza. Already more than 100,000 Palestinians in Gaza have been displaced. The borders in Gaza are closed. The Rafah crossing into Egypt had been bombed a few days ago. It was repaired. It was just bombed again. So as of right now, that is closed. All of the borders into Israel proper are also closed. And so you have 2.2 million people, more than that. It's said that the population of Gaza is, who are enclosed in a blockaded area that is being bombed. And there is conversation about a ground invasion beginning. We received reports that today the first arms and munitions from the United States arrived. And so the U.S. is complicit in arming this war. And President Biden talked again to Netanyahu. I personally, and we as an organization, are deeply, deeply concerned that the war is escalating and that rather than seeking to pursue diplomatic resolution, that the war could escalate to a geopolitical conflict. So we're calling for not only an end to the violence, we're asking for Hamas to release the hostages. We're calling for humanitarian access into Gaza. The people into Gaza can't leave. Humanitarian access is not being allowed to enter into Gaza. And also, we must understand the broader context of the historic occupation of the Palestinian people. Churches for Middle East Peace has been around 40 years next year, and we were founded to work on this particular conflict. So we encourage you to learn, to pray, and we're calling on our people to act. And my final plea today is one of the things that's deeply disconcerting is when you hear about Palestinians in the news. We heard one of the Israeli officials say that Palestinians are barbarians. And may I just say, friends, the vast majority of Palestinians are not barbarians. There are militants, there are bad actors, there are people who are doing horrific things, and we condemn those actions. But I have spent time in Gaza, and I know that the vast majority of women in Gaza and the ones who are mothers just want to raise their children to have a prosperous future. And the women in the West Bank and the Palestinians, I just talked to a dear friend of mine who was getting her children ready for school. They can't go to school in the West Bank because of all of the conflict. There were bombs going off in the distance, and the kids aren't going to school, but they were going to school virtually. And so she was getting them ready for the school in the midst of this war. And she said in all of her life, things have never been this bad. In the West Bank, the roads between settlements are being closed for Palestinians. So Palestinians can't get from Ramallah to Bethlehem, different Palestinian cities, on the roads that are typically open to them, because any roads that are being used by Israeli settlers have been closed. closed to Palestinian cars. And so you're seeing things happening that are just signs that it looks like things are going to get much, much worse before they get better. So friends, pray alongside of us, lament with us. We grieve with the Jewish families who've lost loved ones. We pray for those whose families have loved ones who are being held captive. We hope that they are unharmed and will be released, and take action with us. We're talking to the White House, to the State Department, and to members of Congress, and we invite you to join us in taking action to call for a holistic peace that supports the future and security of Israelis, and that supports the future and prosperity and hope and aspirations of the Palestinian people as well.